31st. Then say, you know what, I'll be signed up for that course by the end of March, right? Or sign up for it now. Personal goals. You want to learn guitar, just to relax. You want to learn piano, right? There are people who actually take or are part of Toastmasters, which is a really cool public speaking association. It's a group. Do you want to, again, maybe sign up for a photography course? So make sure you have these in there because, again, it's not just all about work. Okay? You have to be able to relax a little bit. One of my personal goals when I was doing this many years ago was to play more hockey. So I played hockey 4 times a week, believe it or not. Okay? Doesn't look like it, but that's what I did because it relaxed me. Right? I found myself more grounded, and I was ready to actually go and work because in the amount of time I was playing hockey, I just let real estate go. Right? Now, we need to now commit to taking an action. So again, moving on to page 13, this here is really just a breakdown of some things that you can do as a task. So here the only thing I put is contact a certain number of FSBOs and expireds. Please remember that there's federal legislation around contacting FSBOs and expireds, the privacy legislation and the National Do Not Call list, right? So please make sure you review that. Don't get your brokerage into any kind of trouble.
Also
right?
RICO too. Or RICO too.
Yeah. We're actually reviewing this soon when we talk FinTrack.
Yes.
Okay, great. But here, again, send 5 personal notes. How many of those do you do daily, or weekly, or monthly, or quarterly? How many open houses do you visit? I would go to open houses all the time when I was actively practicing. Contact a number of past clients in your sphere, again, daily, weekly, monthly. This is one of my favorite sheets, to be honest with you, in that entire book, because this really sets the tone for how you're going to work on a daily basis. So if anything, put a star on this sheet to make sure that you have a plan in place. And I like this, again, one of my favorite sheets. Now, 2.53 hours. Does anyone know what this number means?
The difference of 5 and 3?
Pardon me?
Oh, just-
Yeah, that's a different spot. 2.53 hours. A study was done, a university study was done, and they said that you are only productive for 2.53 hours a day. That's it. Of your 8-hour workday, you are only productive for this number of hours. I'm going to give you guys the other 7 minutes and say that you're superhuman beings and say you're productive for 3 hours of the day. What you need to understand is how you're going to spend those 3 hours. When you're going to work to maximize your productive time. Yep.
Is that 2 hours 53 minutes or 2.5 hours?
That's 2 hours and 53 minutes. Okay. 2 hours and 53 minutes. So that's why I said I'm going to give you the 7 minutes and make you guys superheroes. But here's an example of what this means. In my database, I know that 66% of them are empty nesters. Okay? They're retired, basically. So I happen to know that if I wanted to reach out to them, I can't reach out to them between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. Do you know why? Because they're all out with my mom doing aquafit at the community center, or they're walking the mall, or they're doing what retired people do. So if I wanted to be productive with that group, I happen to know that I can only be productive with them in the later afternoon or early evening. What does your database look like? Where do you find the most return on your effort when you work on your database? Does that give you a good example of how you can find who's in your database and when you can reach out to them? A lot of people say, well, I don't really spend time on my database. I kind of know that already, and I do, but not a whole lot, but I door knock. When's the best time to door knock? Best time to door knock is figure out the neighborhood. There are a number of neighborhoods in Mississauga where there's so many empty nesters, they're retired, that they're home all day. Door knock in the morning. There are other areas where both families work. No one's home until the evening, so you can't door knock there either. So know a little bit about the area before you do anything. Okay? It's just some research. All right, so let's go into time blocking. So time blocking, this is what my actual schedule looked like. This is real, people, okay? I wanted to show you that what I did isn't far from what I think you guys can do. This is what my schedule looked like in 2016. Now, the best way to create a time block calendar is everything in red is what I cannot change. I coached hockey and baseball, I was a coach. I knew that we were playing those nights or practicing, okay? You see this color, this light blue? I can't change that either because that's time blocked by paying customers. My consulting company, they bought that time. I can't change that. Everything else I can now start slotting in my IPAs. So if you look, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, send out 5 cards, send out 5 emails, make 5 phone calls, 2-way conversations. But here's the thing. Let's say for whatever reason, I'm having lunch on Monday, and someone calls me and says, John, can you come to the house on Wednesday afternoon, sometime around 3? Because what I want, 2, because what I want you to do is tell me how much it's worth, because we're probably going to be selling soon. I'm not going to say to them, well, as a matter of fact, I can't on Wednesday at 2 because I'm making 5 phone calls. Am I going to say that? No. I'm going to go. And I know that at noon on a Monday, this is completely shot. But here's the reason why I have this. Because aside from everything in red, I now know what I've missed. What's going to happen on Friday?
You're doing 10 calls.
I double it all up. But I wouldn't know that unless I had it all written down, right? Let's say I miss Friday, because I likely will. What happens over here?
You go up 7.
It goes up some more. The honest truth about this schedule is, there have been many Sunday mornings at 6 a.m., the last Sunday of the month, where I've woken up and I've actually sent out my emails and played catch up on my handwritten cards. Can I make phone calls at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning?
No.
No, they're gonna hate me, right? So what do I do about the phone calls? Every time there's a spare somewhere, I just try and squeeze a phone call in. But for me, that's what I found successful for my business. But again, this is something that's structured in my life. I know that I have to lock myself in my office at 6 a.m. on a Sunday morning, because if I let it carry over into the next month, I'm completely screwed. I'll get to a point where I just give up, and you can't give up, right? These, again, realistic goals. Realistic goals. Now, do you open houses? Again, I did that religiously. People say you don't spend enough family time. The truth is I do, as a matter of fact, because let's say I don't have evening appointments. That's family time now, right? So the schedule does change, but it's important to have something there that you can fall back on. Now, this here on page 15, I'm going to give you some examples of what you can do. This is your action plan for the year. What I want you to do in these buckets is identify your income producing activities. What is it that you do to generate income? On the next bucket, it's relationship building activities, administrative actions, and professional development. So like I said, when I email this to you, you'll see this example, but I do want you to do this as well. Because you might not do some of this stuff, right? You might do other things. But what's important is you need to identify what's important in your life, because if you spend all this time on things like administrative work, some of you might have to bite the bullet and pay someone 20 bucks an hour 3 times a week to come in and do your admin work. Because it takes them literally an hour, it takes you 2. You're worth more than that. Anybody here set a value to their time? I did. I know exactly when I was consulting, I was $9.99 an hour, plus prep, plus travel. I knew that because people paid it. If you don't set a value to your time, how do you know how much time you're wasting? Because I guarantee you, anyone here come from the corporate world, where they got paid a certain amount of money a year, yeah? They basically set a value to your time. They told you, this is all you're worth. So why wouldn't you do that now? I guarantee you don't wake up in the morning and say, what am I going to do today? When you set a value to your time, you start maximizing all that free time. You start playing catch up on your phone calls, okay? Things like that. This is another way that you can look at the, activities and tasks, but what you're going to do is you're going to slot them in months. Has anyone here ever set up or held a seminar? First time buyer seminar, investment seminar, anything like that? Yeah, right? Has anyone ever thought about doing it? No one's ever thought about hosting a seminar? Let me tell you something right now. A seminar is the most cost-effective way to get your name out there, all right? And you'd be surprised at people who come, right? You might get some good, all you need is one, right? One good lead. What's the average commission nowadays? You work with a buyer.
12,000.
12,000. You think hosting a seminar for like a couple $100 is worth $12,000 check? I think so. But my point here is, whatever it is you feel you want to start doing, slot it into a month, which makes it a little easier for you to plan. So we're already in February, right? But in March, if you wanted to start social media blogging, put that into March, and then identify when in March you're going to start. Here you've got in April an Empty Nest financial planning seminar, social media blogging again, so this is March and May. Future goals financial planning seminar here, farming with flyers, door knocking, active pop-bys. So this page here actually identifies when you're going to start doing something. Okay? This page on page 17 is just a breakdown of your 19 deals that you need to do to hit this goal. So many of you have a history of when the majority of your deals come into play. For me, it was always front-loaded in the year. So I've always been slow here, so my 19 deals might be front-loaded into January to June. Maybe a trickle of them might be coming into here. But start identifying what months you think you can get these values. The deals, the gross commission income, and then your net. Now, accountability, that's all you. Okay? What you need to understand is, again, you're in business for yourself, not by yourself. Find a way to be accountable to someone. Who here has a coach? Anyone? No? You have a coach?
I do.
Okay. You guys know that coaches have coaches, right? Okay, so I had a coach, got rid of my coach, okay? And then once I got rid of my coach, my production went like this. Okay? Now, my business was kind of going elsewhere, a different direction anyway, but I still didn't do a lot of real estate. It was horrible. So I finally decided I needed somebody. So knowing myself and knowing what I need, I hired a CEO for my company. I love telling this story. I hired a CEO, and the CEO was my wife. Okay? So I said to my wife, here's what I need. Every Monday morning, I just need to speak with you and tell you what I've done the week before and what I will be doing this upcoming week. Don't tell me I did a great job. Don't tell me I'm lazy. Don't tell me anything. Just listen to me. That was enough to make me go back up here, right? Because I needed to be able to just vocalize that to somebody. You guys need to find that same person to be accountable to. Now, if you don't have anybody, there's a great app that I still use. It's called Stick, S-T-I-C-K-K. It's an app. And what you do is you put a value to what your goals are for the week. And if you fail in achieving those achieving those goals, then that dollar value that you put goes to somebody else, right? You actually assign that $50 to somebody. It's a really cool app. I use it a lot. But that's just one way to, again, find some sort of accountability. But you have people in this brokerage where they can rest on or lean on, or you, right? There you go. So, again, this is just inputting your goals, so I'm not going to go through this. This is a Launchpad thing where you can go in and input your goals and it be tracked. This was out of commission until about a week ago, where you can go in now because the January numbers are actually in there. But I will move on because, again, I need to catch up. CRMs. Who here has a CRM? Anyone? Okay, what are you using?
Top Producer.
Excellent, okay. What are you using?
Top producer.
Top Producer? Okay. If you're not using a CRM, I'm going to beg you, and I don't beg a lot, to consider one. Please do some research on why it is you should have a CRM. Now, I'm a CRM junkie, right? I really am. I use my CRM for basically everything. I go into the back end, I've got Exact, and because I have Exact doesn't mean you have to have it, but I like the fact that I can go to the back end and see open up my emails. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just run through why CRM is important, okay? So, you want to make sure you're not duplicating efforts in what you do because CRM tracks everything you do or say to a client. Do you appear professional in your base? Again, I've known people who sent the same handwritten card to the same person within the span of a week because they didn't realize that they sent it the first time. That makes that person look very unorganized. But a CRM really consolidates all of your effort, okay, to one place. Now, this is just a little thing about Henry Ford. He built a fortune not by building better cars, but building a better system for making cars. So you guys need the same thing. So here, what you want to do is you want to make sure you keep all your contacts categorized. Set up follow-up reminders. Track all your client interactions. This is what I use it for. I do keep detailed notes, and again, it allows me to track and measure progress with my prospects. Okay. Lead Street, you guys know that Lead Street, have you heard of Lead Street? It is a CRM tool, right? So if you don't have a CRM right now, I'm going to, again, ask you to at least start using Lead Street. Because Lead Street will do everything that most other CRMs will do without some of the bells and whistles. And I'm going to explain what some of those are. But it's unfortunate that many people who have a CRM, all they do with it is set up their 12 monthly newsletters. Okay? Which is unfortunate because there's so much power behind a CRM. So the Lead Street CRM, again, it will allow you to do an email drip campaign. Email directly from Lead Street. You can send them monthly newsletters. You can categorize your contacts. It is fully mobile, which means you can do all of this with your mobile phone. Some CRM tools are not fully mobile, even the paid ones. And of course, it costs you nothing more than what you're paying already. Okay? So here's just some examples of CRMs. We'll go through just a few of them. Exact, for example, it will allow you to integrate your CRM with email marketing and your websites. What I like about Exact is, again, there's a back-end tracking analytics behind it where I can see who opened up my emails and use that as a proactive marketing tool. Top Producer, they have a financial tracking tool, which a lot of people really enjoy, which they really like, and if that's something that you're using, then by all means keep it, right? Contactually, they've got this one button touch where it syncs your database, your main database with your cell phone. So again, all these different CRMs have different nuances. You just need to understand what it is you need. Find the CRM that'll give that to you and use that. Okay? So, 4 laws of generating four laws of lead generation. 1, build a database, feed it every day, communicate with it in a systemic way. In a systemic way. And I'll tell you what I mean by this in a second. And then of course, follow up in a timely manner. So who's in it? Literally everybody you know. Have you heard this before? Take everybody you know, put them in your CRM, right? Or your database, what they called it. I didn't do that up front. I didn't think I needed to put my tailor in there. After 7 months, when I got smart, I put my tailor in there. Guess who sold my tailor's house? Right here, right? But literally put everybody you know. Now, what's in each contact entry? You're going to try and get as much information as you possibly can. The reason is, the more information you have about someone, the more reasons you have to relate to them or contact them, and again, in a systemic way. So, let's say for whatever reason, sorry, your name?
Burgess.
I'm sorry?
Burgess.
Burgess? Okay. Burgess and I were sitting in a coffee shop, right? And you're a buyer, okay? And we're sitting there and you say, John, yeah, let's work together. You know, I'm comfortable with you. I'm not going to say to Burgess, okay, great, this is really good. I'm really looking forward to meeting, working with you to move you on to your next step in your life. Listen, what's your husband's name or your spouse's name? How many kids do you have? What school do they go to? When is their birthday? I'm not going to say all that because it's going to freak her out, right? She's going to call the police on me, right? That's too creepy. But there is a way that you can systemically get this information without seeming like a stalker and being very professional about it. And it's called the Ford method. Right here. F-O-R-D. Family, Occupation, Recreation, Desires. I've been teaching this sales technique for a very long time. It doesn't just apply to you, it applies to everybody. So I can now say to Burgess, listen, I'm looking forward to working with you, but I need to get some information to make sure that I put you in the right place for the right price, in the right time. First of all, how many people are going to be moving into the home? So yeah, you tell me. 4. I'm just making this up as I go. Okay, great. Who are they? Oh, well, my spouse, my partner, whatever. And 2 kids. Oh, great, I've got kids. How old are your kids? And we talk about kids now. I'm building a bridge of commonality. My kids play a lot of sports. Do yours? I don't know whether or not yours are very artistic or they take music. What do your kids like to do that I might need to put them close to either a community center or an arts center or something, and then we'll talk. What do you guys like to do? We'll talk. Occupation. Where do you guys work? Do you need to be close to transit, as the public transit, or the highway? And then we'll talk about that. Recreation, again, what do you do? And then desires, is this going to be your first and last home where you just live and die in? Or are you going to plan on moving up, upsizing, or downsizing? Again, you can ask all those questions in a professional manner, get all the information, and she's not going to call the cops on you, right? All you got to do now is listen. Just listen to what she says or what your client's saying. But the more information you have, the more reasons you can go and you can actually communicate with them. So, let me give you an example. Okay? Let's say for whatever reason, I'm just going to move on with that. Categorize. Categorize your database. this is really important. Not just A, B, C, or 1, 2, 3 like Brian Buffini talks about, but what I want you to do is I want you to categorize the people who are in your database so that you can reach out to them the right way. And I'm going to explain that in a second. But the reason why you want to make sure you categorize them is because you want to spend your most time, effort, and money on the people that give you the most business or refer you. You don't want to waste your time on people who haven't given you a thing. Okay? So you start to identify who the cream of the crop is, and you spend time up there. Okay? Now, how do you communicate with your database? This is why I said categorize everything. I'm sorry, can I ask you a question? Like, I'm just being serious here. Do you have any kids? You do? Are they allergic to anything?
Yeah.
What are they allergic to? If you don't mind me asking.
Yeah, dust and cats. Yeah.
Oh, dogs and cats?
Yeah.
Okay, I would put that in my database. I actually have a category, I'm being very honest, allergic to nuts.
Hmm.
Okay?
One of them.
Now, I could care less years ago if your kid was allergic to nuts until I discovered mine was, or mine is. Now I pay attention to everybody who's allergic to nuts, and I make sure I categorize, put you in that category. Now, you can be in 5 different categories. Allergic to cats, dogs, I don't know, maybe you have a hobby, you like food, you like photography, you like sports, I don't know, I'll put you in a bunch of categories. And whenever I find an article that relates to those people, I just make one selection, send it to all the people who are allergic to nuts, paste the article, and then I send it off. That's it. But that's legitimate information for you, isn't it? If you get 3 emails from me, it's because you're getting 3 emails that are valuable to you, not just crap that I'm sending out to everybody. You don't want to devalue your worth. I say this all the time, and I can prove that people in your life have devalued their worth to you. Who here has social media like Facebook or Instagram or anything like that? Anyone? Do you remember some people used to post, and every time they posted, you used to open that up? Now when they post something, you care less, you don't even look. Because they devalued their worth. They've sent out so much crap that it means nothing to you anymore. You don't want to do that. That's why when you categorize your database, you will actually send only information that's relevant to the people who need it. That's it. So categorize them, right? You can do that with many CRM tools, including LeadStream. Now, here it says most top producers say 80% of their business comes from their database after the first 3 to 5 years of working it consistently. That's why I said I mine my database on a regular basis, because there's more business in there that I can get than having to go out and door knock. Okay? I'm not saying door knocking is not successful, it really is. I know people who are very successful at it, but for me, I mine my database first. Now, create a daily system, email, text, social media, phone calls, face-to-face meetings, get through calling your database. Again, it says here every 90 days, but basically it's how you rotate your database, right? So make sure you actually reach out to them. And then if you're uncomfortable with speaking, then write a script. Keep it beside the phone. They're not going to know that you're actually reading the script, okay? But it's making you more comfortable and confident in how you reach out to your database. Just a few more slides. Key to a CRM success is that you simply have one and that you use it consistently. Please don't just use it to set up your monthly newsletters. There's a lot that's in a CRM that you can use, okay, to again have effective and relevant communications with your database. You just have to actually use it. Okay? And just some quick takeaways. Again, start writing your SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, timely. Write them down and make sure they're visible, or do what my buddy did. Create a plaque. Okay? It was a $60 thing, he had it engraved, he shellacked it, he hung it up, office and his home. Focus on your IPAs, again, the 20% that matter. Measure your success and adjust where necessary. Adjust where necessary. Let's say for whatever reason something happens in the market where it affects your business plan, you've got to adjust it. But don't just adjust it because you're lazy, right? Adjust it. There are some people that I know who are so far ahead in their business plan that they actually adjust it up. They adjust it up, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Adjust up. And then get a CRM and use it consistently. So, that's me. Are we good? Questions, comments, rude remarks? Yeah?
Ford, can you please explain what it stands for one more time?
Yeah,
Or just tell me
family,
what it is?
occupation, recreation, desire. So what I train people to do, or what I coach them to do, is to understand who the family members are that are there. I don't like to ask, do you have kids, right? Because you never know what happened in their personal life. So I always ask, how many people are going to be moving into the home? and then I expand from there. If, Burgess, sorry?
Yeah.
If you said 4, the real role play here would be, okay, so would that be you and I would let you explain to me who they are, right? Because again, you never know what happened in their life that maybe there are no kids, right? Or they're divorced. So that's family, occupation. So again, occupation is where they work because you want to make sure you put them close to something that'll get them there. If they don't drive, Burgess will tell me that, I got to put them close to public transportation. If they do drive, how close do you need to be to a highway and which one, right? Recreation, again, where do I need to put you so that you can go out and play hockey, play baseball, play soccer, go to the library, go to the theater, movies, restaurant, things like that. And of course, desires. What are your plans for the future? Is this your be-all and end-all home, or are you planning on actually moving on beyond this? So, family, occupation, recreation, desires. It's the basic way to fact find. We used to call it fact finding back in the day. We good? Very good. X out. You know how to exit out, right? As long as it's not going in. Right? Thanks. Guys, did you learn 1 or 2 things?
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's my only goal.
One
Walk
complaint.
away. Huh?
One complaint.
One complaint?
Yeah.
Okay.
You ask a dinner to him, not to me.
Sorry? No, what?
You asked for dinner?
Oh, no, did I ask him for
Yeah,
dinner?
yeah, you asked him.
Oh, yeah, that's right, I did do that, right?
Why
Yeah.
you did it
Yeah.
again?
Huh?
Why you?
Because I've already taken you 3 dinners. I gotta make it even for him, right?
Oh, that's-
Well, thank you very much, John.
All right,
I hope
thanks.
everybody got value out of this.
Thank you very much.
If anybody wants copies of those, just let me know. I'll share your email addresses, and then you all will get copies of this one.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
All right, thanks. I'm just gonna run back to the office for a second.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm gonna come back. I just need to check something in the office, but if you have any questions, I will